I made this here entirely with Hugging Face and Python so that I could enter text, summarize it, and get a sentiment analysis. So for example, if I look up World War One and I go to a wiki page and pick a rather long article, let's just pick this first bit of text here. If I was to chuck all of this into the model that I have made here and then hit enter, it will summarize it for me and give a sentiment analysis. Now, exactly how that works, while that's loading in the background, let me open up Hugging Face. Hugging Face is a company that focuses on creating and providing tools and models for machine learning, particularly natural language processing. An example of that would be here, Stable Diffusion. So you can generate images, it's amazing, and you can run this locally or access it here via the web. Now, some of the models which they have, and you can see here it's done this, are for summary, so it's taken all of that text and brought it down just to a few lines, and sentiment. So this text about World War One was, of course, largely negative, and this is the percent. So we're going to build this. Now, first of all, we're going to start with a really basic implementation, and if you wanted to use a more complex GUI using Tkinter like I have here, you can do. But first, let's start with the basics. So what I'm going to do is open up a Jupyter Notebook environment. The environment you use for this doesn't particularly matter. Just make sure you have these two things set. We want to install transformers, and this is how you're going to access the Hugging Face models. So pip install transformers. When I hit run on that, it'll take a moment. For me, I already have it installed, so just allow that to run. You'll also want to install your preferred machine learning framework, whether that's PyTorch or TensorFlow. Now, to do that, see, here we go, requirement already satisfied. You'll want to do pip install Torch, or you could do pip install TensorFlow. Now, it doesn't particularly matter which one you do, you just need a machine learning framework. So again, requirement already satisfied, we are good to go. That's all you need. What we can do now is actually install the transformers. The transformers library is created by Hugging Face, and it's a collection of all the pre-trained models for natural language processing, such as text summarization, sentiment analysis, translation, and more. So we need to import this here, and the way we import it is by doing from transformers import pipeline. It's as simple as that, and it shouldn't take too long either. Once you've imported the pipeline function from the transformers library, you then want to create an instance of a pipeline and specify the task you want to use it for. And here we're going to use summarization. That's the model we want to use. It's quite simple, so we're going to call it summarization, and this is equal to the pipeline, and the pipeline is called summarization. So if we make sure to put that inside some quotation marks and hit run, it's going to say no model was specified. You didn't specifically say which model you wanted to use, just a summarization model. That's okay though. So just allow that to run. You could say you want a specific model, but for now, we're not going to really worry about that. We're also going to pull in underneath this the sentiment analyzer. So for this, I'm going to call it sentiment analyzer. I'm going to set this equal to the pipeline, and I want to use a sentiment analyzer model. So sentiment analyze. Again, no specific model was specified, just a general case here. And it recommends if you're going to use this in production and make an actual product out of this, probably do specify a specific model. But that's both done and we're set to go. And that's pretty much it. Now what you can do is define the text to be summarized and analyzed. So text is equal to, and what we can do here is you can either put a string like this and you can type it out, or if you're going to be over multiple lines, which you probably will be if you're summarizing text, put 3 quotation marks here, 3 here, and in between you can input what you want. So let's go over here and find something to summarize. Now let's do an article on healthy foods. Here we go. Fantastic. Or another great implementation of this is meeting notes. There's loads of ways you could use this. Come on, let's find your approach here. Let's see if we can use that. So I want to summarize your approach to your values and principles. Now, if I paste that into here, see that's quite a long bit of text, so that would be good to summarize. Next, we're going to want to perform the summarization on the defined text. So now that we have the text here, we're going to type in, let me just hit run for a moment. We're going to type in that summary is equal to the summarization, which we called earlier. Summary is equal to the summarization, which takes in the text. And you set a few parameters here. So max length, let's set to 200. This means that I want the maximum summary to be 200 tokens long. We also have to set the minimum length. So we'll put min length is equal to 50. So once we put the minimum and the maximum length in and called our text, we're going to put doSample equals false. That's just a way of it doing the encoding. We're not going to worry too much about that today. It means it won't use, or it will use greedy decoding. But again, let's not worry too much about that. Now, once that has been typed in, we can go to the next part. We can do, let's type this here. Summarized text is equal to summary, calling it the first index. Summary text. If we type this and run it, it's going to allow us to access our stored summary, which is currently in a dictionary. So we're going to call it here. Then we want to perform the sentiment analysis. So the way we do that is if I can find it here, because I have a shortcut. This is the sentiment result. Let's hit run again. And then finally, we just want to print those. So let's print the summarized text, which is stored under summarized text. And there we go. This is the summary of all of that. Fantastic. Now, I kind of want the sentiment as well, which is fine. We can just then print the sentiment result, which says that it's largely positive, 99%. Fantastic. And this is how it works fundamentally. Now, if you want to go into this and build something more complex like I had, I used a library called Tkinter, which is for building GUIs. Equally, you could use Flask or otherwise to make it into a web application. You'll see here, if I type hello, the result I get is crazy. That is the summarized text that I'm getting and the sentiment score for it. I would recommend, if you're making this into a full application, ensuring people don't enter just one word, because it will get confused. If you want meaningful output, you have to put something meaningful in. So let's find something just to test it on here that is a little bit more meaningful. Let's look up a news article and find something interesting. So here we go. I'm not going to read all of this. My battery's on low charge, so we'll be quick. The other thing is that it won't allow you to put too much text in. If you want to do that, you'll have to use a more complex model like BERT. We'll see if this actually does run. If it does, I'll be impressed. There you go. Just in 2 lines that'll be summarized. It's very quick as well. So thank you very much for watching and all the best.